I've been an atheist all my life. My parents were both non-believing physicists, and I'm actually a fourth-generation atheist on my father's side. I've also lived in quite a few places, and at one point I was an atheist in kindergarten in Auburn, Alabama. Now, you might think that that's kind of a tough situation to be in, and you'd be right. But honestly, even in the Deep South, the experience of being an atheist kindergartner is a lot different from the kind of thing that adults go through. Now, I do remember there was a period of a few weeks when this little gang of kids would come to me every day after school when I'd be waiting for my parents to come pick me up. One of them would come up to me and he'd say, "Hey, do you believe in God?" And I'd say, "No." And then he'd turn to all his friends and say, "See, I told you. Isn't that weird?" Being an atheist in America can be kind of like that sometimes. I mean, sure, we're a fairly unpopular group. We come in for a certain amount of bullying. But for most people, they grow up in religious households, they go to church all their lives, they surround themselves with other people who assume that there has to be an all-powerful creator of the universe. And so when they do meet an atheist, they have that sort of reaction. "You don't believe in God? That's really weird." Atheists are a fairly misunderstood group, but they're also often actively demonized too. I've listened to a fair amount of Christian radio, and one of the things that the hosts like to focus on is this idea they have that Christians, who are actually 80% of the country, are somehow some kind of persecuted minority group, and really everything's being run by this shadowy organization called the secular left. George Bush Sr. allegedly said that he didn't even consider atheists to be citizens, and Jerry Falwell actually blamed atheists for the September 11th attacks. Atheists think about things in very different ways than Christians do, but that doesn't mean that we necessarily have to be enemies. Ultimately, we all really want the same things out of life. We want to lead happy, fulfilling, productive lives. We want to make the world a little better place for our children. We want to protect our loved ones from the threat of being robbed or the possibility of physical violence. And so, even though I don't believe in God, here's what I do believe. I believe that people who have very different philosophical ideas can still come to the table together and sit down as friends and talk to each other and reason about the ways that we can all work together to make the world a better place for us all.